Hello everyone and welcome to D2C Dialogues. Today we have with us Bhuman Dani, founder and CEO of WickedGud. Welcome to D2C Dialogues, Bhuman.
Thank you, Hitesh. I think pleasure is all mine. Lovely to be here and discussing, our journey.
Nice. The overview says WickedGud is on a mission to unjunk India and the world, one kitchen at a time, by offering wicked taste and good ingredients. So what is wicked and what is good? If you can tell us about that, Bhuman.
Well, I think wicked and good are such extreme words. It's almost an oxymoron, right? What we are trying to do, in short, is transform wicked, indulgent junk into good, nourishing meals prepared by mothers. So the core of what we are building is to solve every problem that inherently most Indian families would have. Kids want to have junk every day. Mothers want to give nourishing food to their children and families. Kids end up dictating consumer behavior. Mothers end up domesticating junk. So if you can create a win-win in this household, I think you've hit the sweet spot.
Wow. So, and this is a Ghar ki kahani, Bhuman. What you are solving today is, and ultimately, we have to surrender to the kids. But, and I want to know more about it, how you are making the good part of the wicked one. Having said that, can you tell us what was the aha moment when you decided, which led to the formation of WickedGud?
I think exactly this, right? We saw this pain point in every Indian household where kids were dictating consumer behavior and mothers had no option but to feed the kids their junk. So I think if we can empower mothers by deconstructing the junk and reconstructing it with good ingredients in the meals, I think that's definitely a pain point that we want to solve, and that led to the birth of WickedGud as a brand.
So what kind of products WickedGud markets?
So currently we're doing, the intent of the company obviously is to look at large categories and get a 2 or 3% market share of such 4 or 5 large categories 5 years from now. So we've begun with pasta and noodles. We've made them out of dal, chawal, chana, oats, and atta, the basic constituents of an average Indian meal. And going forward, we'll have pop chips, choco spreads, and other categories.
So pasta and noodles have traditionally been junk food. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
And how come that becomes, unjunk or healthier?
So we looked at categories that are inherently junk, because if in inherently junk categories you can create something better, then you've really hit the sweet spot in terms of identifying the problem with parents and kids. And which is exactly why we went at a grain level, some very senior people from the industry helped us. Rinka Banerjee is an advisor. She spent 18 years with Unilever. She was the R&D director for the South Asia business when she left. So took a lot of guidance from her and went at a grain level and tried to see if we can create pasta and noodles without any oil, without any maida, because the commonality in pasta and noodles across is that they're all deep fried. If you look at the back of pack, the second ingredient would be edible oil or vegetable oil or palmolive. So if we could eliminate oil completely, and if we could eliminate maida completely from this offering, the rest is all harmful chemicals. If we could also eliminate those chemicals and create a similar tasting product, that was the end goal and vision of the company when we started with this category. Fast forward, we create noodles made with dal, chawal, chana, oats, and atta. We use a SCAT technology to manufacture them, which is steaming, convection, air drying. So not a drop of oil is used in the entire manufacturing process, which is why the protein and fiber is significantly higher and the net carbs and saturated fat is significantly lower when compared to incumbents. In fact, only 0.3 gram of saturated fat versus 8 to 9 gram of saturated fat in incumbents. So 96% lower saturated fat. So that really, helps mothers and kids because they get to have junk. Mothers get to, feed nourishing food.
So, Bhuman, you could eliminate the junk part of it, but how could you maintain or create that excitement from a taste perspective? Because traditionally, if it is healthy, it may not be tasty.
Absolutely correct. So I think there are two parts to it, right? Firstly, we've read this multiple times. I think someone from Apple had said it. If you launch the perfect product, you've launched too late. So I think that's the intent with which we go about our launches. I don't think we've hit it 100%, at day zero. Every time we do a production, we want to improve the product so that it caters closer to that taste profile of the junk, and at the same time without any compromise on health. So I think the best way to answer this is for you to taste the product. And there have been multiple iterations after iteration to ensure if there is any bitterness that has to go out, if there's any texture issue that has to go out. I think we are almost there when it comes to some of our SKUs, especially the masala noodles. I think is as close to the legacy brands as possible, without any oil, without any maida and MSG. So that's something that we're very proud of.
So I'll take that advice. Taste of the pudding is in eating. So we'll go and have it in the near future. The main question here is, what was the math? You have a rich consulting background, having worked in Europe, etc. What was the math behind entering this category in India?
Well, these are large categories. As I said, the math is to get to 2% market share in 4 or 5 large categories. So cumulatively, if you look at 50,000 crore, 2% of that, that's 1,000 crore that we want to enter in. Pasta and noodles combined is 15,000 crore. Pasta is growing at 18% per annum. Noodles are growing at about 8 to 9% per annum. None of the noodles out there are healthy because they're all filled with maida and oil. So it was more the insight of consumers and the math of the category that made us believe that something is possible if you can create a well differentiated product and if your content is in money.
So tell us something about your supply chain, Bhuman. When you started, it was just an idea, and you got a sweet spot with the problems that were there in the households. How did you manage the supply chain, from getting the ingredients, the tech part, the manufacturing part, and then we'll come to the distribution part as well?
I still don't think we've mastered it. I think every day, every month is a new learning, is an improvement, and we want to put our heads down and try and see how we can improve this further. But what, like most startups do, we've outsourced most of the process. But what we've successfully done is we filed for a patent for the recipe, process, and impact to humanity for both pasta and noodles. So when the manufacturer gets it, it's a mixed flour, and then we just use their machinery, their equipment to create pasta and noodles and the finished good. Even from a warehousing perspective, everything is outsourced. We have 3PL partners who we work with closely. And then, of course, depending on where the order has come from, it gets shipped and dispatched, which again happens to third-party logistic partners.
From a distribution perspective, how is a WickedGud product distributed?
Initially, we started with an online first model, but now we're an omni-channel brand. We're also exporting to 6 countries. We are available in 400 to 500 retail stores across the country. But the omni-channel piece just happened in May 2023. That's when we went into offline retail.
Okay. And you started as an online first brand.
Correct.
Can you throw some light on how did you market it? Because uploading the products online is easy, but to ensure that they are sold is where each and every entrepreneur or business faces the problem.
No, I think content is king, right? You need to have a well differentiated product, which I believe we have, and then a community of repeat buyers that requires clutter breaking content to distinguish you from the noise out there. So I think the core of whatever we did was to build the right content for our audiences, the right short films, reels, to even do innovative stuff, on ground activities, do the right events, be visible in the right places, partner with the right influencers. So I think that's an ongoing process. I don't think, again, there's a playbook to this. We just have to do the basic hygiene stuff. And then whenever we get an opportunity to do something, either offline or online, partner with the right people to be visible and so that there is brand recall.
like every startup, you must also have faced some fund crunch at some given time,
Yeah,
How
I
did you
think,
solve that?
yeah, well, I think there's no answer to that, right? You, I think everyone faces it. There are always times when you are a bit worried with the funding winter, but how to convert the funding winter to funding in winter is what an entrepreneur needs to do. So I think we've raised 3 rounds so far, and I think barring the first one, which was a pre-seed round, all the other rounds, there have been challenges. There have been a lot of questions asked around our burn, the product, because it's still very early stage. We're 18 months, 19 months into business. So a lot of questions around product market fit, around these are inherently retail focused categories, but we started as an online first brand. The AOVs even then are low. So how are we going to, become EBITDA positive? What is the path towards all of that? So I think there have been a lot of questions from investors, and rightly so. This is still very early days for us, but I think somehow we've managed to stay afloat and scale to new heights.
You have got support from one of the big Bollywood celebrities. And I'm not taking, you will only explain us, and please tell us, what the association is, and, how the celebrity, has helped you.
So this happened honestly by chance. Shilpa reached out to us about.
Shilpa, in the sense, Shilpa Shetty.
Absolutely, yeah. Shilpa Shetty reached out to us about 5 months ago because she tried. She's always in the look for healthier products. She's an embodiment of health today in India. She signifies health for whatever she's done over the last few years. I think she was one of the first celebrities to focus and promote health, which is why today she's a health symbol, and she's also a mother. She understands the problem that I was talking about initially. So I think she was the perfect fit for us. And thankfully to us, she approached us because she had tried some of our products and really loved them. And we started talking, and I think there was a meeting of minds. There was a clear connect with the brand, clear brand fit with what she does and what she sort of signifies in life. And that's how this happened. It just happened by chance, and it's been only 2 months, and already she's done so much of content for us and posted it on her handles, and people have only appreciated it. We've now, this is something that is going to go live within the next 7 to 15 days, but anyone who will order from our website will get a personalized voice note, video note on their WhatsApp from Shilpa Shetty herself. So that's something that we're also doing to integrate with the brand so that consumers also feel loved and consumers also feel valued.
Could you also talk to us about, your appearance on Shark Tank and the grand finale? So, please share some light there as well.
Yeah, I think brilliant platform. I think especially for food entrepreneurs or consumer entrepreneurs, definitely try and appear on that episode. Definitely given your 100% best in the pre-screening rounds, because if you appear on the episode and if your episode is aired, it'll do wonders to your brand. Prime time spot, great amplification for the brand. The numbers did the talking after that. We scaled almost on every platform. Some platforms at a 10x level, some platforms at a 2x level, and it's still there. So there was a base, and then Shark Tank happened, and now there's a new base, which is probably 2 times, 5 times, 10 times, depending on which platform. So I don't think there's a better way to get brand recognition than Shark Tank in this country.
So, Bhuman, now you've got a celebrity in Shilpa Shetty. The brand has appeared on Shark Tank. The brand salience is extremely high, I suppose. So, where do you take WickedGud from here?
Well, I think we've just started. All that has happened I mean, God's been kind, but I think we've just begun, right? We're looking at categories that are so deeply penetrated, and we've just begun offline distribution. We're at only 400 points of sale, where our category leader is probably at 5 lakh point of sale. So I think there's a long way to go. The intent, of course, is to get to 1,000 crore ARR 5 to 7 years down the line. And I think if we get that 2%, 3% market share in the categories that we're looking to disrupt, that's extremely achievable and doable.
So what about product innovation and the categories? You had mentioned that initially you all have shortlisted 4 to 5 categories.
That's
So
correct.
currently, in which all categories you are present, and how many SKUs you have?
So we are very clear and careful that we don't want to have multiple SKUs because that increases working capital, reduces focus. So we only have 9 SKUs in the brand today, and we're in 2 categories: pasta and noodles. Next month we're launching pop chips, and thereafter there'll be choco spreads like Nutella. But I think we'll pause after that, at least for a year, before we get into more categories, because these 4 categories itself have such a large market size that you can definitely create a 200-300 crore just out of them. So that's the intent.
Sure. So you are concentrating on these 4 categories, 4 products that you have mentioned here, and targeting around 200-300 crore worth of top line.
That's correct. Yeah.
Good. What were the before we go to the rapid fire round? What were the major challenges that you overcame, in your journey so far?
I think every day is a challenge for an entrepreneur. Whenever I do interviews for my core team, this is the question I ask them: that entrepreneurship is about you being on a ship which is in a storm, and while you definitely can't guide the ship in a storm, at the same time there's also a fire on the ship. So should you douse the fire first? Should you guide through the storm first? What should you do? Because every day there are new challenges that come our way. So I think it's all about, not about going as high as you can, but about coming back up when you've been knocked over. I think that's exactly what entrepreneurship is. In terms of specific challenges, I think raw material prices and inflation has been one, given that we're heavily dependent on some of them. Second, I think maintaining your cash burn initially is also a challenge. No brand is built with a couple of crores. It requires a lot of time and investment, both from the entrepreneur and investors. The biggest investment that an entrepreneur gives is time, and the biggest investment that investors give is their hard-earned money. So I think these are the 2 challenges that we've faced at WickedGud so far.
Nice. So with this, we'll go to the rapid fire round, Bhuman. So we'll be asking a couple of questions, and we'll start with this one. If WickedGud hosted an award ceremony, which product would win Product of the Year?
That's a tough one, but I would say definitely the masala noodles.
Masala noodles.
Yeah.
Create a hashtag that perfectly sums up the WickedGud's brand personality.
Hashtag Wicked Taste Good Ingredients.
You are hosting a pasta party for celebrities. Which A-listers are on your guest list?
Oh, 100% Shilpa Shetty. And then we'll allow her to use the guest list.
Okay. Share a heartwarming customer story or testimonial that touched you and made you feel proud of your brand.
Oh, actually, there are a lot. Every second or third day, we get messages. We're inundated with emails and messages about the product. But one that stands out is a mother who reached out to us, and she had a newborn. And after 2 years, she started to feed the child pasta and noodles, and the kid really loved it. And there was a very heartwarming image that she had sent us, which we'll cherish for all our life.
If you could give one superpower to your products, what would it be?
Higher shelf life for sure. I think every food entrepreneur will say that.
What is the most challenging aspect of running a fast-paced D2C brand like WickedGud?
Well, I think motivating team when markets are bad, and initially everything is always helter-skelter. So I think getting structure, motivating the team, and reducing the cash burn, these are the 3 biggest challenges any D2C startup would face initially.
Last one, name one brand you see as your closest competitor.
I don't think there is anyone who's doing the kind of products and innovation that we are. So as of now, there are none. But when there is a brand, I'll definitely tell you.
Thanks, Bhuman. Your endeavor to reach 1,000 crores in the next 5 years is extremely, it's an ambition, but the kind of product, the kind of marketing that you are doing, the kind of positioning that you have for WickedGud, and the roadmap that you have laid to achieve that number, I think it will be easily doable, and not easily, but on paper definitely yes. As you said, every day is a challenge for an entrepreneur. That goes without saying. But we at the D2C Dialogues would like to thank you for sharing your insights with us here today, and wish you all the best and WickedGud too.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatt. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. One more question that comes to my mind is about the competition. And this question is not from the competition within the country, but of late we have seen that a lot of Korean brands have entered the Indian market and they have taken it by storm. What are your views on that, Bhuman?
I think a very good question. Not many people would know, but there are 3 brands that are doing really well in India: Coca, Nongshim, and Samyang. Coca is at about 50 rupees per pack. Samyang would be at around 60 to 70 rupees, and Nongshim would be around 80 rupees. Normal Maggi is at 14 rupees, and Maggi Atta and Maggi Oats are at 28 and 30 rupees respectively. So almost 5 times, 6 times as expensive than Maggi. But even then, all 3 of them are 80 crore plus brands in India today. So I think that talks a lot about Indian consumers valuing convenience, and a lot of Gen Z consumers do not want to consume what their parents did. So there's a new culture. Of course, K-pop, Netflix really helps with the Korean piece. But I think what we're trying to do, the commonality between Maggi and all of this is that it's deep fried and made with maida. So what we're trying to do is make a maida-free, oil-free noodle, but with the price point which is cheaper than these 3 and a little more expensive than Maggi Atta. That's the core we're looking at.